Hey, welcome back to the Lion's Garden podcast. I'm your host, Annie Peguero. I'm a leadership coach, fear alchemist, and wellness expert, helping high achievers expand their success with confidence and clarity. My clients, entrepreneurs, executives, leaders of all kinds, are building thriving businesses, making bold moves, and achieving strength in body and in mind. With my Brave framework, they're leading with impact, scaling their success, and creating lives that feel as good as they look. Here we talk strategy, mindset, resilience, real conversations, no fluff, and it's all about growth and sustainability. Whether it's leadership, wellness, or creating a deeper connection in your family, this is your space to build success that lasts. Let's get into it. Today on the Lion's Garden podcast, I'm speaking with Katie Prill. She's a fellow military spouse, a proud 16 and a half year Air Force spouse, small business owner, owner of Love and Lettering by Katie, and a mom to two energetic boys. She currently calls Northern Virginia home, but has made a home in many places, thanks to the twists and turns of this military life. After nearly 12 years as a registered nurse, she completely reinvented herself as an entrepreneur, creating a successful business that offers hand-lettered prints, stickers, shirts, and unique gift items. Love and Lettering by Katie blends creativity, resilience, and connection, serving as a source of inspiration for her community, including military spouses and book lovers. When she's not running her business, she's soaking up time with her family, reading a book, or cheering on the Washington Capitals. You're going to love this conversation with Katie. She offers some really brilliant insights into balance, what happens when burnout strikes, and she's just a really beautiful, energetic soul. Here we go, Katie Prill, Love and Lettering by Katie. All right, welcome back, everyone. I've got my friend and client, Katie Prill of Love and Lettering by Katie. She's a fellow military spouse, a beautiful creator, and I'm so excited to share Katie with all of you. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you, Annie. I'm so just excited to be here with you today. You're just such a wonderful person and coach and friend, and it is an absolute honor to be on the podcast with you today. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is fun. Okay. So Katie and I, before I started recording, we're like talking about all the things. I'm like, oh, this is good to talk about. This is good to talk about. And there's so much, like as a military spouse entrepreneur. Oh, I mean, there's so much that goes into the day to day. I mean, we're not taking anything away from like people who are not military spouses and you don't move around every 3 years, but there is definitely a layer to this military spouse life that is unique. And, before we get into all of that, please tell us about your business. Tell us about what you do and how you serve this incredible community.
Well, my business is called Love and Lettering by Katie, and it was started to just kind of share my art at first. So it was an art account on Instagram, and it was born out of, I guess, boredom during COVID. I previously, in another life, I guess, was a nurse. Still, technically,
Mm.
still a nurse, but I'm not working as a nurse. I had found a course on how to hand letter, gosh, back in 2019, and I fell in love with just art and lettering. And I feel like I always had that in me. But then, of course, we all know what happened in March of 2020. And, you know, we're flexible. We roll with the punches. And that's exactly what we did. I was laid off from my nursing job. My kids were home from their daycare and their school. My husband was doing school at the time. So he went online. And I just poured everything into online, or teaching my kids at home, but also to art. And it blossomed into this beautiful thing. And I just wanted to be able to start sharing it. And I did. And then, of course, like military life, we got PCS orders. Well, we already knew that we were moving, but we moved from Alabama to South Dakota. And in that process, I decided, hey, let's start a business with this hobby, and I did. So in September of 2020, Love and Lettering by Katie was officially a business and a product-based business where I sold stickers and prints, and those are my first two products. And over these past 4 years, it has grown tremendously. So now I offer shirts and ornaments and different custom gifts, bookmarks, oyster shells, and lots of different things. And I lean heavily on the military niche because obviously I experience that every single day. And I also lean heavily towards two different spectrums. We go from snarky, sarcastic to motivational. And I think that I like to think that I do them well. Um,
You do.
you can be both. You can be both. You can love to share a motivational quote on a Monday and drop an F bomb on a Tuesday. And
Yes.
I,
Or an F-bomb in the motivational quote. I always like that.
or an F bomb immediately after the motivational quote. You can do both, and so and I do. So we have that little niche as well. And over the last year or two, there's been a whole heck of a lot of Taylor Swift references because I'm a huge Swiftie, as well as I have really leaned into my love of books. So there's a lot of bookish merchandise products in my shop. And so I lean heavily on those kind of four main niches, I guess, for my business. And I don't think I can niche any further down because those are what I love. That's what I know. And that's what my customers and my clients like. So I'm
Yeah,
going to keep giving them what they want.
I love it.
And to back up, I guess, for the other question, so I am a military spouse of 16 and a half years and a nurse and a mom of two boys and a dog mom to Maverick. So if you do happen to catch me over on my Instagram or my Facebook, you will see Maverick's face all over because he's like my little mascot.
We love
So
Maverick. We love him.
we
We love this
and I'm
guy.
really surprised that he's not right next to me
He usually
while we're
is.
recording this because normally he is. He's just he's laying in his little dog ball on a beanbag chair right now, and he's just living his best little doggy life. So I'm gonna let him be.
Exactly. But he heard his name, so he'll probably be over here in a minute.
Now he hasn't even woken up.
Oh,
He
wow.
he's like, "Mom, I'm over you right now. I'm not ready. I did not agree to a podcast today, Mom."
You know, Katie, I think that the way that you just kind of allowed this whole, evolution and the different ways that your business started to take shape and how it shifted over the years is is really important. And I think that our listeners can resonate with that because so oftentimes in this life, like the thing that we plan, we set out to accomplish, right? Like when you were in nursing school. I mean, if somebody would have told you that this is what you'd be doing in 2025, what would you have said?
You are high. If you
High as
told
a
me
fucking
in
kite. Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
exactly.
I
In
mean,
yeah, circa 2004 to 2008 when I was in nursing school, I would have been like, no, she's not a business owner.
mm-mm,
Newsflash,
mm-mm.
she is. And I 100% have gained so many skills from my years as a nurse and my experience as a nurse that I think have carried me through being a business owner now. And I do not regret 1 minute all the time I've spent in nursing, but I'm grateful that our lifestyle has shifted enough that I can own my own business now and I don't have to go back to nursing right at this time.
Yeah, that makes me think about when you were kind of in this transition, I guess, from nursing into entrepreneurship, like during COVID. Um, what did you hear from like loved ones, your community of friends, those types of things when you're maybe when you disclosed that you were going to leave nursing or that you were getting laid off and that you maybe weren't going to go back? Like, how was that received? And then how did you feel about that?
Everyone was really supportive.
Oh, that's
They
good.
really
That's
were.
so good.
They understood. I think they saw. I think in the years leading up to me leaving nursing, that there was some burnout there, that
Mm-hmm.
there were definitely boundary issues. I worked as a hospice nurse for a little over a year. And while, yes, it gave me an incredible amount of experience for some things that I would later go on through in life, that I am so grateful that I have that experience now, having been through a hospice with grandparents. Um, that job kind of broke me in a way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think my family and friends saw that, and we're just excited for the possibility of something different for me. And they've been so supportive. And they were probably honestly the push that I needed to start the business because,
Mm.
like I said, I first started just sharing my art online. I had my little Love and Lettering by Katie Instagram account, and here's this quote I lettered, or this is the art I did all over the driveway. So I posted on Instagram, and then I started getting people, hey, have you thought about selling that print? Or, hey, can you make this custom saying for me? And it just started as, oh yeah, I can do that. And here's $5 here, it's $20 there.
Yeah.
And then it turned into, really, when are you going to start that as a business? And the rest is history.
I love that because there's so many people I could literally think of two handfuls of people that I've had conversations with just in the last couple of weeks that are so burnt out in their job, and most of them are in healthcare. And when I presented the question like, what if you shifted? Like, what if you didn't do that anymore? And most of them were like, I couldn't possibly do that. Like, I'm in healthcare. Like, this is what I
Mhm.
do. And I think that there's a lot of fear wrapped up
Mhm.
in the unknown. I mean that's one of the big things that I talk about with my clients is fear. But what about when fear isn't like you don't even realize that there is fear? Like I know for
Right.
sure the people that I was speaking with recently, if I'd have been like, well, it's a real scary thing, right? Like to even think about doing something different. They
Absolutely.
but some people don't even realize that they are doing the thing over and over, completely burnout, literally sucking the life from them and from their family, but they can't imagine doing something different. Like you lived it. Like it's a kind of a
Mhm.
different type of thing because it was during COVID. You were laid off, you were kind of forced into doing something different, right? But how did that how did you move forward into this like unknown, like giant risk of failure, right?
Mhm.
When you have a family, you're a military spouse, like there's so many other things that take an emotional toll. And to adding starting something completely brand new into the mix seems really
I
scary.
I think that in the back of my head, I knew that nursing was always going to be there. And that's the thing. There will always be healthcare jobs. So if it didn't work, I could go back.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing saying that I can't go back to a nursing job if I miss it. And some days I do, and some days I think about it. I don't think I'd ever go back full time, at least anytime soon, unless it just something like it was the best job ever. But it's always going to be there. And so it can be your backup plan while you do a new plan. You don't have to continue to get burned out and be a shell of a person that you were because that's the only thing you know.
Yeah.
You can change. And it was absolutely scary, but we were also in a season of life where we could make that change, because it was COVID and because of, we had stability where we were stationed. We lived on base. We didn't have a mortgage. My husband, has had he's got a good job in the
Yeah.
military. We had the availability, we had savings, we had enough to make that work. I'm not saying that everyone does, but we were in a situation where we could roll with it, and we did. And I also, at that same time, was supplementing a little bit by teaching spin class on base.
Mm.
Not that it was a lot of money, but it was something else. And so I had that availability. And if it would have worked out for us, I thought about I actually did get my nursing license for South Dakota when we were stationed there where I started my business, but I never ended up looking for jobs beyond that because, at the same time, I was homeschooling my kids for that first year and it worked for us and we made it work. But, we always make sure to communicate. If things weren't working, my husband and I know that we'll have another plan. We'll figure it out
Mm-hmm.
and we'll figure it out together.
Yeah, that's
And
definitely the beautiful thing about this military life is knowing that you're always going to figure it out, right? There's going to be things thrown at you that you're not prepared for, that you might never be prepared for, right? But being able to figure it out is definitely a gift of this life, for sure. You talk about burnout and like feelings of overwhelm. And I have a challenge coming up next week. If you're listening to this on the first week of December, I have a challenge called the Clarity Code Challenge coming up because I was at this networking event like 2 weeks ago, and the host asked, "How do you winter?" And so many of the participants, the ladies there, were like, "I don't winter. It's my busiest season. I power through." And you, Katie, as an artist, when your busiest season, one of your busiest seasons, this is a pretty one of the biggest ones for you, is the holidays. And you were explaining to me before we started recording, like what you do to make this season. Yeah, it's busy, but it's also about family and it's also about love and connection and slowing down, right? So, how do you bring that into your business and talk to somebody who, like, thinks that they absolutely cannot do that? Show us how they can.
it's having to figure out firm boundaries. So the first
Mm,
2 years I was in business, I did not really have a cutoff date for my orders. So for my business, I do a large amount of custom work right before the holidays. A lot of people want, I do hand painted, hand lettered wood slice ornaments, and they have been my just staple every year. They've been a favorite since the very first Christmas. And that first year, I I put a deadline, and I'll put that in quotation marks. It was a deadline, but I did not stick to it. I kept taking orders, and because I was so afraid that if I said no, these people would never come back to me or
mm,
everything would dry up and I wouldn't have any sales later on, because I didn't know. I had no idea. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I was working myself to the bone. Um,
mm,
I would be up till midnight painting, and then I'd get up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and start again. And my stuff was severely underpriced. I don't
mm.
hardly think I made any money off of that Christmas, but I mean, it felt like I was doing so well because I sold so much. Um, but I didn't have good boundaries. So I tried to figure out the following year, okay, how do I stick through it? Had a date, a firm, like, this is my deadline date. I think I still said yes to a lot, even though I should have said no. But this year, I told myself, you will stick to your deadline. And I did it really well last year, too. My cutoff date was December 3rd. And I put it on my social media. I put it on my shop banner. I put it in every Christmas listing. December 3rd is the
Done.
last day I will accept orders. And I've had some people, email for custom work or whatever. And I put it in there December 3rd. My shop closes December 3rd. And if you don't get your order in on time, I will not accept an additional order, even if it's easy.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's not to
even
say
if it's
that
easy.
I won't open back up. So I set that date so that then I can get caught up on the custom stuff, get everything out, and then inventory what I have left. And then I'll put the rest of everything else that's already pre made that I had anticipated to sell at a market or this or that. I'll post that on a discount, but you will buy it as is. I will not
Hmm.
customize. And that might sound mean, but I,
I think it sounds amazing. I love boundaries. I get so excited
people
about
might think it
boundaries.
sounds mean,
I
but
think it's sexy. I mean, it is
I
amazing.
think
Like
so
to
too.
totally like to tell someone when you're a business owner exactly how it is, right? Exactly what you will do during this season and what you won't do. And I mean, it's just it's an incredible thing. It's so learned. I mean, I think we
It
can
is.
all. I remember when I was doing, health and fitness. I started my coaching business in health and fitness back in 2011, and I'd have people like sending me pictures of their food at all hours. And I would be like, oh, yeah, try this, put this on instead, or substitute this, or what in the world? Like, why
Mhm.
was I doing that? Yeah, but it is so learned from trial and error, and you almost have to get to a point of burnout and overwhelm,
Mhm.
and people either quit or take a break or come back with those boundaries.
Mhm.
So
And I think those that don't like it are the ones that I didn't want as a customer, anyways.
yeah,
They
yeah,
have to respect me and my time and
yeah.
my desire to enjoy the holidays with my family as well.
Mm,
And I can't imagine asking someone else to, push their own boundaries or, because I wasn't prepared. Like if I was looking for something, I would not want to know that, hey, I asked so and so to make this for me, knowing that they're going to be up till midnight trying to get this done. I don't feel good about that. So I
mm-mm.
don't want anyone that would expect that from me as well, because I deserve rest. I
Mhm.
deserve to enjoy the holidays with my family. My oldest's birthday is December 16th. So not only do we have
Mhm.
Christmas to celebrate, we also have a birthday to celebrate. And my goal is always to be completely and totally done before
Yeah,
his birthday. So basically, we get to December 16th and it is birthday right into the Christmas and all of our traditions and everything.
I
So
love it.
um, he deserves
He
to
does.
have his birthday celebrated with a mom and dad who are present, and his brother too, and his dog. But they're not helping with the orders as much, I guess,
Yeah.
the dog and the little
Mm-mm.
brother. But no, he deserves that, because I think so many people also try to lump his birthday in with Christmas, and I don't think that's fair either. I'm
Mm-mm.
stand on that, hill on that one. Um, but yeah, he deserves to have a birthday that's celebrated by both family, both parents. And my husband's a small business owner as well. So um, that means boundaries.
Yeah. What would you say to the person who to the nurse, right? Like to a person who doesn't own their own business, right? Who's in that place of no boundaries, walking around with their phone all the time when they're not on call, right? Like
Mhm.
to come in for a shift. Um, but for a person that doesn't think that they can set a boundary when really they
You,
can, but they just won't. Right? Like maybe you were that person when you were in nursing. I mean, I was when I
I
was in law
was,
enforcement, that's for sure. So if you look back on that time of your life, what would you say to that version of Katie?
I was 100% that person. That's why the burnout got so bad in hospice, is because I didn't want to turn off my work phone or my work laptop. I still wanted to know about my patients even when I wasn't working. And it didn't serve me well. It caused severe anxiety and, of course, the burnout as well. But I would tell that person, you can absolutely have boundaries. You can absolutely say no. And it might not feel good right away, but eventually it's going to feel freeing to
Hmm.
realize that every no that you say to someone else is saying yes to yourself. You're saying yes to your family and your own happiness. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. You can still serve other people with firm boundaries.
For
You
sure.
absolutely can.
Anytime that you say yes to work, right? When you don't need to be saying yes, you're saying no to your kids. right? You're saying no to your family and you're saying no to yourself and framing it in both of those ways. And sometimes like saying it over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
really helps people to realize, oh, I don't need to say yes in this situation at work right now, right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to be answering my phone. I don't need to be doing it. I think there's people listening to this that are like, "Well, good for you. Okay, you started your own business. Good for you. I could never do that because, of my job in X, Y, and Z." And, we're the reason why we're talking about this for so long is because it's so incredibly important, and we've both been on that end of the spectrum where we've just been like pouring and just completely empty. And wow, the
Mm-hmm.
toll it takes on
It does.
a marriage too. Like, whoa, whoa. I mean, and I was burnt out just as an entrepreneur. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
before we started recording, you were talking about how your husband has done a lot of the Christmas shopping. So, like, how does that this being honest with your spouse, with yourself, and with your spouse about the emotional toll, the physical toll that constantly saying yes takes. And then what do you do about it, right? Like, what action can you take when you realize that you are in a place of complete burnout?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious when, like the years that I did not have good boundaries and I was so burned out. I also saw my health suffer. And last year was an interesting holiday because I got COVID right before Thanksgiving, and then I got the flu right before Christmas.
Oof.
And I didn't get to, even though I had good boundaries, I think your body's going to decide like you didn't take a break. It's going to make you take that break whether you like it or not. So I think he saw, like that's what happens when you don't take care of not that you don't take care of yourself, but like sometimes that's what happens. And how can we prevent that from happening?
Mm-hmm.
And by being good communicators and making sure that we discuss, okay, this is what needs to get done in addition to all of the business stuff and all of the home stuff. And then this child's got basketball and this one has this and all of those things. And realizing just because I've always done it or he's always done it doesn't mean that we always have to do it like that. And I am so grateful I'm in a place that my husband has handled the
Mm-hmm.
majority of the Christmas shopping this year because he's in a place with his life and his business that he can handle that. And that helps free up that mental load that I'm carrying because there's still a lot to figure out. You know, he can handle that part because he's not necessarily going to be like, oh, I'll take care of the Christmas cookies. He
Sure.
can, he 100% can, and he knows how to, but I like to do that. I
Yeah.
enjoy doing that. And, just as much as he likes to put out the Christmas lights on the house, I like to put out the Christmas decoration inside and decorate the tree and all of those things. And those, some of the tasks that we both can easily do. He picked up on, hey, I'll take care of the Christmas shopping. I can handle doing some of that when I'm on the bus to work or, there's downtime at work or different things like that. And finding those pockets of time in between to take care of those tasks. And it just means there's a lot of communication that's happening and our relationship is very much give and take. And this year seems more that he's, doing some of the things I've done before. And I know we were talking beforehand that there's some guilt that like I've always kind of handled most of the Christmas shopping, but he's handling it. And I'm trying to let go of that guilty feeling and
Mm-hmm.
just replace it with being freaking grateful that he does everything that he does.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees that that's something he can take off my plate. And there might be a time where he's needs, I pick up the slack. And that's what it is in a good relationship. We're not giving 50-50, we're giving 100%, 100% because we love each other, we respect each other, and our relationship is important.
Yeah, like this whole time I've been thinking to ask about the like what this has done for your marriage. Just that validating of him doing this really, really important task of buying the gifts. And then communicating about it and you recognizing that it's something that you like to do and feeling guilty about it. I mean, that's really where intimacy lives, and it's that doing and being the person that does the things and is there for the other. And what about has it always been that way in your marriage, or is it something new? And how did that kind of happen?
I mean, the Christmas thing is more new with the gifts and stuff, but I definitely feel like we've always had a really good, respectful like marriage, and he's always taken care of me and I take care of him. And I mean, it just makes me love him that much more that he takes care of that for me. He sees me. He sees where I struggle and he helps make it right. And he recognizes that. And there's nothing sexier than that. So
Right? I know. I know.
kudos. Like kudos.
Totally. Well, what about to the woman listening who's like, okay, cool, like my dude does not do those things, or my partner is not vibing with it. Like he or she is just not getting it. Like, what then? Right? Like, what does somebody do when they're feeling burnout, they're feeling overwhelmed, they have a partner at home, but the partner is not picking it up, right? I mean, it's
Gosh,
one thing to
I
have a
mean,
conversation, right? But frequently, I know when I was in that position and my husband he's acts of service. Like he does the
mhm,
things. But sometimes the things that he would do, and I'm talking like pre 2020, they weren't the things that were helping me, right? It was things that he thought were helpful, but they weren't helpful at all, right?
mhm.
Like, so okay, like what do you say to somebody whose husband or spouse is capable of doing the things, wants to do the things, but there's a disconnect, right? There's a communication disconnect happening.
I mean, I mean, the only thing I can really recommend is communication, a more specific communication. And I mean, I don't know what that feels like because we have good communication and we talk about it, and there's always been that give and take. But I guess, yeah, being open and honest, and maybe you also have to give up some control too, because I
Mm-hmm.
know that sometimes people do it differently than the way you do it.
Yeah.
Um, I load the dishwasher a certain way. But
Oh, you're one of those.
if someone's gonna load the dishwasher different than I am, but they're gonna do it, then maybe I just have to give up that control.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Or, I guess again, it's just open, honest communication and meeting someone where they are too. And just being mindful of where they're at, where you're at, and putting it all out there, I think is honestly probably the best thing that you can do. And um, I mean, figure out what's important too,
Yeah,
because some things have to be put to the side. Some things might not be that important at the moment, but you got to decide what do you want to. Having like a list of, okay, this is what I need. These are my wants, these are my needs, but what do you need? And maybe being open and honest about that is probably the most important.
for sure. And this so carries over like personal life, marriage, work, career, entrepreneurship, right? We always talk
Mm-hmm.
about how these things like don't live in a bubble and we are whole humans, and what we do in our personal lives sometimes then shifts over. I love this discussion because it applies across the board, especially during this like super busy time of year. It really does.
Mhm.
So we've been working together in a coaching capacity for, gosh, how long now?
I
I
think
mean,
like
more than
April, May.
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like I've gotten way more out of it than what I signed the
I
contract for.
mean, so good. Like I love working with you. Eh, because you come to the table with, a situation or a problem, and you are always the one to find the solution, right? Like I'm here, I ask you questions, I help you to find it within yourself. So, can you talk a little bit about your experience with my coaching and how you feel like you were able to draw these things out of yourself? Like, because I think a lot of times people are like, well, coaching, like, I don't need that. Right. Like, because they think it's advice, right? Or they think
Mhm.
it's like somebody telling them what to do, and it's not at all. So, if you could share a bit about
Right.
your experience.
It's 100% not them telling you what to do. It's giving
No.
you some resources, asking really hard questions. But really and truly, those answers, you already have the answers, that you already know what you're going to do. Sometimes you just need someone to ask you a question to help really give you a moment to like peel back some layers or, quiet the outside noise. And that answers, it's been there. You've already thought of it. It's just a matter of someone validating it, I think. But yeah, working with you, Annie, has just been amazing because you do make me like answer the hard questions sometimes, but get down to it and realize, okay, this wasn't important, or this is important, or, um, when decision making, you help me clarify it a little more, I guess, and just bring it more to the surface. Because again, it's been there. I've known deep down in my heart kind of what I wanted to do about any given, situation or whatever. But it's also nice just to have someone recognize that, you know, yeah, you can struggle. You can have issues with your business or your relationships or different things like that, but it's nice to have someone to talk to about it. And I do think that everyone needs to have a coach or a mentor or someone to talk to, because regardless in what stage you are in your business or in your life, um, there's so many people out there that have great experience and great just resources, and it just makes your life easier. And
That's what it's
sometimes
all
we need the
about.
easy button.
Please give me the easy button. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you said the outside noise, like cutting through the outside noise. Like sometimes, and we as humans, the outside noise is so loud that
Mhm.
even though we know the path to take, or we have the confidence, or we can make the decision, whatever, it's that outside noise, right, that prevents us from actually making the thing as easy and as
Mhm.
enjoyable and lucrative as we possibly
Right.
can because of all this that's going on around us. And that's really what coaching is all about. Thank you
Mhm.
for being such an amazing client and has have become my personal friend. It's just been a really great journey, and I'm in complete denial about your upcoming PCS. So I don't even want to talk about that. That is,
I
I know
know
it's happening,
that's
but
that weighs so heavily, I think, on me, because when planning for upcoming year for business and life and all those things, it's hard to be like, all right, this is what I want to do when I don't even know where I'm going to be.
exactly,
And
exactly.
I don't know when we're going to have a decision. So at the same time, though, it's one of those, we will figure it out. We
Yeah,
always do. And just keep living in the moment, keep living for myself, for my family, and the rest is just details. We'll figure it out. We always do.
I love it. I love it. Tell us where we can find you, and when you open your shop back up, how we can place an order.
Yes, you can find me over on Instagram. I'm sure, Annie, you will share all those links in your show notes, because every screen name is different. So if I try to give you
Oh,
all of them
I'll
and
put
which
them all
has the
in.
underscore here, you'll have them. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. LinkedIn, Pinterest, and then I sell on Spousely. So Spousely is an online marketplace made by an Air Force spouse who recognizes that the military spouse community specifically, but in general, first responders, military veterans, they have so many talents. And so it's a place for that community to sell their products and their services.
We
Anyone
love
can shop,
Spousely.
but
Spousely, we love you.
we love you, Spousely. But yes, shop on Spousely. There's over 500 different vendors selling products and services. And when you support one vendor over there, you're supporting the whole community, because all of that goes back into that community to empower them and just amplify their businesses. And so I sell exclusively on Spousely because I believe in that.
Love
the
it.
power of that community. I will mention, though, I am hoping to launch my own website, but all of my products will still only be on Spousely. So we'll link it right back to my Spousely shop.
Love it. Love it.
That should be coming in 2025.
Beautiful. I love these things that are happening in 2025. Katie, thanks so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Annie. It was a joy.
Amazing. Talk to you soon.
You too. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Lion's Garden podcast. I'll see you next time. And as always, you can reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and over at my website at thelionsgarden.com.